The Baltimore vaccine plant that last month botched a batch of Johnson & Johnson vaccine by accidentally mixing it with AstraZeneca is now suspending production of new doses. The FDA asked Emergent BioSolutions to stop manufacturing after an inspection of the facility last week. And now the company is the focus of a new investigation by the Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis. And joining us now is the chair of that subcommittee, Majority Whip Jim Clyburn. Great to have you back on the show. Can we start right there? And what is going on with that facility? What happened? What do we know about the potential of it happening again elsewhere? A fluke? What can you tell us?
Well, thank you very much for having me this morning. We have been looking at this company for a while because we thought that there was some kind of insider dealings going on. A former administrator with this company was working in the Trump administration, and it seemed as if this nearly $700 million contract was something just awarded to them because of those relationships rather than because of their abilities to do anything, because they had been cited several times before for failing to fulfill requirements on the government contracting. And of course, as you just mentioned, several weeks ago, they mixed up AstraZeneca and J&J stuff and had to throw out just millions of vaccines. So we were concerned about that. Then we found this relationship. So we are asking them to answer some questions because it seems as if they're ill prepared for the work that they're doing. And this, to us, is just too important. This pandemic is something that we got to get beyond, and we cannot have political insider dealings driving these vaccines. They've got to be coming from places where people know what they're doing, and they're there for the right reasons. We just don't think this company is doing it for the right reasons.
Okay, so if you could explain that part a little bit more to me. Are you saying that this is a company that the Trump administration had sort of brought into the fold and it's not appropriate for dealing with the crisis?
This is exactly what it looks like to us. You may recall Kodak got a $700 million award from the Trump administration. Now, we know them for making good cameras. I mean, you didn't have a camera if you didn't have a Kodak camera back in my childhood. But they have absolutely no track record in this field. So when we got involved, it stopped it. We stopped them from consummating that contract. Now, this time, it's a little bit after the fact, but we are getting involved because it looks as if this company is something akin to what was going on with Kodak several months ago.
Congressman, it's Willie Geist. We'll keep an eye on that hearing and that investigation. I want to ask you about what we've witnessed in Minneapolis over the last 3 weeks. As you know, the jury in the Derek Chauvin murder trial will resume its deliberations today. What did you make of the prosecution and the defense yesterday? And what's your message to the country that is on edge as it waits for this decision?
Well, as you know, I am a native. All of my 80 years have been spent in the state of South Carolina. And these kinds of trials we have a long history with. I'm particularly interested in the trial that took place, as you know, with the so-called Emanuel 9. And if you remember, the family stepped up, and there was not one single window broken in South Carolina during that time. We believe that we ought to let the process work and respond to the results. I don't want to anticipate what may or may not happen with the jury. I keep my fingers crossed, my prayers to myself, but I pray that we will have a verdict that justifies what occurred. And that, to me, of course, is believing what my eyes saw.
The grace shown by those families in Charleston was extraordinary, truly extraordinary, even in the days immediately after the shooting. Your colleague Maxine Waters has drawn the attention of some of your Republican colleagues with her comments the other night where she said, while in the streets in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, stay on the street, get more confrontational. Some of your Republican colleagues have called for her to be censured. Privately, some Democrats wish she hadn't put it that way. She since has explained that she meant in terms of social justice, in terms of the civil rights movement, to be confrontational with the justice system. But we have said many times through the Trump years that words matter, that people may interpret them a different way. What did you make of her comments?
Well, I'm making her comments exactly what she explained last evening. Maxine and I interact a whole lot. We talk a lot. And, you know, last month, the city of Columbia commemorated my last arrest and conviction in the case of Edwards against South Carolina. That's a landmark case that came about because we were challenging the system with a petition. Now, Maxine was talking about petitioning for redress, and she used a word that a lot of people are playing upon. Well, the fact of the matter is Mo Brooks said much worse stuff than that just minutes before the insurrection. And I don't remember Kevin McCarthy saying one single word about that. So if he's going to bring forth a resolution, I would hope that he would bring a resolution regarding Mo Brooks as well. So we ought to let political speech be political speech and not bring it into the halls of the Congress. If she said that on the floor, that's one thing. But both Mo Brooks said he's outside away from the floor, and Maxine was not even in Washington when she made those comments.
All right, we have NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent and host of Way Too Early, Casey Hunt, with us, and she has a question.
Congressman Clyburn, good to see you. I'd like to ask you about the big picture here as it relates to what we've seen in Minneapolis, because as this trial has unfolded, we saw another young black man killed at the hands of police just 10 miles down the road from where the trial was taking place. We saw a little bit of hope after George Floyd was killed, and there were some bipartisan discussions about police reform, but it seems like that's all stalled. Now that Democrats control both the House and the Senate, do you see any way in which these laws could actually be changed?
Yes, I do. I have great hope that Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina and Congresswoman Karen Bass from California, who have been working on this issue now for more than a year. I think that they are going to continue to work and get something done. I do believe that something must be done. We cannot continue to talk about this. We got to act upon it. We got to give the American people what comfort that we can through legislation to deal with this issue. I have a 26-year-old grandson, and I can tell you, he lives across the street from me. Every time I miss seeing his automobile, I worry about where that automobile is, where he is, and what's going on with him. And this has got to stop. Too many parents, grandparents, are being distrustful of the system simply because the system seems to be hell-bent on protecting bad actors. We all grew up saying one apple can ruin the whole barrel. We have to apply that principle to policing in this country. Get rid of these bad apples, because if we don't, they are going to ruin a good profession, which all of us should be supporting.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.